Today we're going to talk about umbrella policies with insurance and why you should have an umbrella policy or why it might not be necessary for you. Umbrella policies, are they necessary?
I would say to the average consumer, some people like to save money. They won't purchase an umbrella policy, but to especially like your higher net worth type people or people that have children, an umbrella policy can be a really, really good option. An umbrella policy is going to be that extended coverage amount. Above that. If I want to sue you for $500,000 and you're only at $300,000, that's where that extra amount's going to come in. Same thing with auto insurance.
We're going to talk about uninsured motorists and how that will affect you. This stuff gets really confusing, and I think that people don't really understand, and there's a lot of people in Florida driving around without insurance.
A lot of people, they're really good people, and insurance is expensive, and so they want to get as little insurance as possible. And there's a lot of people that come to Florida, and South Florida specifically, from other countries where insurance isn't really a thing.
Hi everyone, welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. Every week I talk about something to help you make a little money, save a little money, or maybe just help you navigate this crazy little world that we live in. Today we're going to talk about umbrella policies with insurance, and maybe some other insurance topics, but we're going to talk about umbrella policies and why you should have an umbrella policy or why it might not be necessary for you. So with me today is Brandon Felder with Goosehead Insurance. So I want to welcome Brandon. Hi, Brandon.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. So umbrella policies, are they necessary?
Well, I would say to the average consumer, some people like to save money and they won't purchase an umbrella policy, but to especially like your higher net worth type people or people that have children, an umbrella policy can be a really, really good option.
When you say people that have children, why people that have children?
Well, I think anybody that you ask, if you ask somebody, hey, do we live in a litigious society? Are people quick to sue?
Yes.
Everybody would probably say yeah. And so an umbrella policy, it's what I like to call extended lawsuit protection.
Okay. Tell us a little bit of how that works.
Yeah. So on every homeowner's policy, or the majority of them, and every auto insurance policy, you have liability protection. So this is in the case that you get in an accident or there's an accident at your house, or sometimes it goes beyond your house, and somebody gets hurt and they say, well, I'm going to sue you. So Laura, I go to your house, I am hanging out, my kids are there, my kid slips, falls into your pool, hits their head, needs surgery.
Oh my God.
Okay, now
My kid's not allowed in my house.
My kid's not allowed in your house. Well, hopefully my kid's not falling and, but they say, and I say, you know what, Laura, this is your fault. You weren't paying attention. It's your house. I'm going to sue you.
Okay.
And you have, let's say, maybe $100,000 in coverage, liability coverage on your homeowner's policy.
What does the typical person have in coverage on their homeowners?
Typically, it's between $100,000 and $300,000.
Okay.
Sometimes more, rarely.
Okay.
An umbrella policy is going to be that extended coverage amount above that. So if I want to sue you for $500,000 and you're only at $300,000, that's where that extra amount's going to come in. Same thing with auto insurance. Auto insurance, people will have anywhere between $10,000 in liability coverage per person that they affect in an accident, so the other vehicle, up to, $20,000 for the other vehicle entirely.
Okay.
And then
is that the max amount you can have?
So that's the lowest amount. It's $10,000 per person, $20,000 per accident. Now, the highest amount is typically with most insurance carriers, $250,000 per person, $500,000 per accident.
What if you stack it now? Like you have multiple cars and you stack it. How does that work?
That's on uninsured motorists. So we can talk about that, but that's a little bit different.
Back to that.
But when you're talking about your outward facing limits, so the other vehicle, sometimes you can do what's called the $500,000 combined single limit. So whether it's everybody or just one, the max they're going to pay out is $500,000. Well, the reality is $250,000. It's not going to go that far in the hospital in the event of a really bad accident.
Okay.
And so if you have a $1 million umbrella policy, well then that's gonna save you. So I'll give you an example that I had one umbrella claim this year. Not umbrella claim. Well, kind of technically is, but
'Cause it went to that
one
afterwards.
liability claim.
Okay.
And it was a guy, really nice guy. He bought a house, had some work done in the house, and he hired a contractor. Now the contractor had insurance.
Right. They had what was called workers' comp.
Yeah, there's different
Okay.
different things on the commercial side, but
Okay.
he had his business insurance, we'll call it, to keep it simple. And he hired this lady to do some of the work in the bathroom as like a subcontractor.
Okay.
Well, she said, and I think she's just fishing for money, but I don't know. She said she got hurt on the job. So she sued her employer, the contractor, and she also sued the homeowner.
Right. You should probably name everybody, they say, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So he filed a claim through his homeowner's insurance and also his umbrella, because he had an umbrella policy at the time that the accident or whatever happened.
Okay.
So that's a good example of umbrella. But going back to like high net worth people and people with children, parents can get upset. They want to protect their kids. And so that is really, especially like teenagers, that's an important thing, to have that, because if some other parent tries to sue you. And then, if you're high net worth, unfortunately, there's people that kind of fish for lawsuits. And if you live in a nicer neighborhood and they see that and they see you have nicer cars, or they hit you on the road and know you have a nicer car, they're going to do everything they can to, get what they can out of
Right.
you.
So typically, though, when you get sued, the insurance company provides the lawyer to you, correct?
So it's a really good question. Now, if you get sued, my understanding is you can hire your own attorney. Now, if you want to use the insurance carrier's attorney,
I mean, aren't they trying to protect themselves anyway? So they would be the best.
Yeah, it's going to really come down to like the claim situation, because claims are pretty much always a case by case. And so I don't really get involved in the claim side.
Right.
And so it's kind of a difficult thing to answer. Now, I've seen in some scenarios where they will use the insurance company's attorney, but it's kind of like, do you want to use the listing agent to buy the property, or do you want to have your own representation?
I don't know if it's the same, because I would think, I mean, when you're using a listing agent to buy the property, right? Yeah, it's their listing, and I mean, not all agents are created equal, because to me, I'm like trying to do what's right for the whole deal, and I'm honest in providing any of that to them. But I would say that they're very concerned about their insurance and what they're going to pay out. So I would think that they would do the best job. And if you hire another attorney, it's like they have no skin in the game like the insurance carrier does.
Well, they do have skin in the game, because they're going to get some sort of
No, they're defending you.
a percentage of the claim amount.
No, not if you're representing the insured that's being sued.
And the insurance company, you're saying.
Right. So the insurance company, so let's just say, for instance, give an example. I have an Airbnb and somebody stubbed their toe, and legitimately stubbed their toe. I've seen no documentation for anything. And so,
They're fishing for money.
So I have one of those carriers that was funny. One of my clients was saying, "Oh, I heard that they don't," and I'm like, "They've actually been really good, Amwins. They've been great." So they have, an attorney that's been doing my.
Well, if they're suing you, or if they're suing the insurance company, sometimes it can look different. Because if they're just suing you and you don't notify the insurance company,
I notified them right away. They were suing me, and I notified the insurance company right away.
And so the insurance company can then take over.
And they did.
But if you wanted to have your own lawsuit, that would be, or your own lawyer, that would be between you and the insurance company if you wanted to do that.
Right.
Now,
and I don't know why you would do that, though, because again, I feel like the insurance company has more skin in the game than.
Yeah, it depends on the person. I mean, some people are going to say, well, I want to use my lawyer, I want to, whatever. But there is something that it always kind of comes back around.
Right.
And the reason it comes back around in insurance is there's something called subrogation.
Right. So your insurance company can subrogate against you.
can subrogate against whoever. So like there's a guy in my office, he has a townhouse that had a leak from the roof. He put in a claim, he got everything fixed, and now the insurance company is subrogating. So they're essentially suing the homeowners association to make that money back.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And so the insurance company is going to try to find a way to return themselves to whole.
So what does an umbrella policy typically cost?
Well, I like quoting umbrellas over the phone because it's like 20 questions. It's really quick. And the majority of those questions are there any drivers over 70 or over 80? Which that's gonna shoot the premium up a lot.
Okay.
The next thing it usually asks is, are there any young drivers? Which of course is going to increase the premium. The other things it's going to ask have there been any accidents, speeding tickets, DUIs, DWIs, those type of things. And then what I think affects the rate probably the least amount is, how many properties do you own? How many vacant lands or pieces of land do you own? It also goes into like boats, jet skis, that type of thing, because those can be dangerous.
Right.
So it's a quick 20 questions. I run through it. And typically for your average person, with one home, maybe one rental property, couple of cars, no teenage drivers. Typically I see for $1 million, it's around $1,000 a year, plus or minus 30%. So, 700 to 1,300. I know that's kind of a big swing.
Right.
It also depends on where the property is and things like that.
Do you have to update all this as things change in your situation?
You should. Because remember, it's going to come back around. So they're going to subrogate. So if you get another property and somebody gets hurt on the property, and you didn't add it. I was quoting something for a guy that's actually a really hard thing to quote. He's got a vacant piece of land in like Naples, Marco Island area, and it's got a dock on it. And vacant land with a dock is kind of a tough thing to quote.
So he should be putting a fence around it.
Yeah, well, or like if he had a structure there, like a house, it's a lot easier.
Then you'd have a fence.
Yeah, but just a dock, a lot of companies are a little bit afraid of that.
Right. Well, we're going to go to commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to continue to talk about insurance and really try to help you protect yourself, because without it, you're going to be paying for it. Be right back.
Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or building your dream home, you have a lot riding on your loan specialist. Max Fish, a top 1% mortgage loan officer in the nation, will give you a same-day qualifying quote. Max Fish is committed to providing his customers with mortgage services that exceed their expectations, ensuring that you make the right choice for you and your family is his ultimate goal. Contact Max Fish today at 954-729-6933 or max.fisch@nwmcorp.net.
At JK Closing Attorneys, we do all of the same things that a title company does, but with the benefits of being a law office. We can help with residential real estate, short sales, commercial real estate, refinances, 1031 exchanges, and FRIPTA withholding.
Contact JK Closing Attorneys today at 954-332-3111. Again, that is 954-332-3111.
You have been watching Making Money with Laura. For more information, contact Laura Sanders at 954-650-0827 or visit her website at theloracell.com. And now back to the show.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. So today we're talking about insurance, and we're talking about a little bit more than just talking about car insurance, homeowners insurance, life insurance. We're talking about, what do you need to do to protect yourself a little bit above and beyond, because those policies might not be fully protecting you. So we're going to talk about uninsured motorists and how that will affect you. this stuff gets really confusing, and I think that people don't really understand. And there's a lot of people in Florida driving around without insurance. So, Brandon.
Really good conversation to have. So I think first we should talk about why.
Why they're riding around without insurance?
Yeah, I think it's important, to kind of understand that a lot of people, they're really good people, and insurance is expensive, and so they want to get as little insurance as possible.
Which that scares me.
It does, but you do well for yourself. To somebody that is working and struggling, it's really hard to pay for insurance. And there's a lot of people that come to Florida, and South Florida specifically, from other countries where insurance isn't really a thing.
Really?
And so they might come from a place where they have their vehicle, and to think, well, I need to spend an extra $100, $200 a month to drive this vehicle around, it doesn't really compute.
I'm starting to think Uber's better for me.
And so...
Not to be an Uber, I mean to just have them drive me around.
You'd be a fun Uber driver.
No, I'm not going to be an Uber driver. But you know what? It makes sense. Think about it. If I just had people Uber me around, then I could just do my work in the back anyway.
Yeah, you could. So, but the thought of that is, it's expensive. And so people try to remove their insurance coverage. Now in Florida, you have to have insurance coverage.
And what coverage is that you have to have?
You have to have what they call is PIP, personal injury protection. And that coverage isn't too expensive, but if you just have PIP coverage, it's not going to be too expensive.
So what is that not covering for the insured?
That if they don't have any of the other coverages,
right.
It's not going to cover, people riding in your car. It's not going to cover uninsured motorists, which we'll talk about. It's not going to cover your car itself. If they just have that, it's not going to cover the other people in the other vehicle if they get hurt. It's literally
so what is
just
PIP covering?
It's personal injury protection.
So who's it covering?
So personal injury.
Just
so it's
them.
covering just them. It's to $10,000 in coverage.
So basically, somebody can hit me in Florida, just have PIP, and now I'm going to have to go and make a claim to my own insurance.
Yes.
And
so
that's not fair.
Well, and if those people just have PIP, they even if you sued them, they probably don't have anything to pay out.
Right.
Sometimes they do, but if they are uninsured or underinsured, then you can purchase insurance to protect yourself. So you're essentially purchasing the other person's insurance if you get in an accident with them, and that's what uninsured motorists or underinsured motorists really is if somebody is uninsured or underinsured, you're paying to protect yourself.
Wow.
Now, before the break, you asked about if you could stack that coverage. So with uninsured motorists, you can stack coverage. And what that means is, let's say you decide to purchase $100,000 in coverage for yourself, $300,000 per accident. So that protects you, people in your vehicle, that it's going to cover anybody that gets hurt, $100,000, and then $300,000 for a single accident max.
Okay. So if there's 5 people in that car, what happens?
$300,000 is the max.
And they'll split
in
it
your
between
car.
the 5.
Yeah.
Oh, in my car.
In your car. This
So
is
if I had-
protecting you, because remember, they don't have insurance. So uninsured motorist
Okay.
protects you.
Okay.
So you have $500,000 in hospital bills between 3 people. They're only going to pay out $300,000 if that's your max limit. Now, if you have stacked coverage, which is more expensive, they're going to stack the limits based on how many vehicles you have. So
Okay.
let's just say the average home has 2 vehicles, and they have $100,000, $300,000 in coverage. Well, now they're going to stack that, so you really have $200,000, $600,000.
And how does that get dispersed?
And so same way.
So 200,000 can go to each person,
Each person. They're just adding it up.
but each person gets 200,000.
They can.
Right.
Correct.
And then the 600,000, it has to be for medical bills for all of them.
Or for a lawsuit for the entire accident.
Okay.
One accident. So it's kind of like in the commercial side, we call it a per occurrence.
So what happened? So,
limit.
okay, so let's, and listen, this gets very confusing, so I
Yeah,
think
it
it's
does.
good to hear this, right? So let's just say I get in an accident, right? It's my fault. I've got 5 people in my car, and then the car I hit has 5 people in there. That's 10 people total that have been involved in the accident. I have 2 cars. I have 600,000 because I have stacked coverage. Does that mean that all 10 people get 200,000 each when they sue me?
No.
No. Okay.
So every coverage on an auto policy is either for you and your people and your property, or them and their people and their property.
Okay.
So your bodily injury limit, let's say it's 100, 300, or 250, 500.
Okay.
You can't stack that limit. That covers those people and their property.
Okay.
Uninsured motorists covers you and your people and your property if they don't have enough coverage.
Okay.
So we talked about bodily injury being, 250, 500 for you. That should be what those other people have. But let's say they don't have insurance or they're underinsured. Your uninsured motorist is you paying that as if it were them for yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so if you have 250, 500, 250 per person, 500,000 per accident. Okay. So if there's, they don't have insurance, your people need to be covered, your medical bills, your attorney's fees, whatever it might be, $250,000 per person, $500,000 per accident. And then if it's stacked, what times the number of vehicles that you have. So if you have 2 vehicles, then you have 500, 1 million. And that doesn't mean every person is going to get it. That is the max that they'll pay out. So if there's 1 person in the car, the max that they're going to pay out is $250,000. If there's 2 people in the car, the max they're going to pay out is $500,000. If there's 3 people in the car, the max they're going to pay out is $500,000, because it's the max per accident.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to get a little bit further explanation on this, wanted to get new car insurance, get some quotes, how can they reach out to you?
The best way is to give me a call. My cell phone number is 954-326-9842, and I can quote those autos right over the phone. It's super easy. It's not like home where we need inspection reports and things. It's really easy.
So I know that most times we talk about insurance that has to do with homes, and I know I'm a realtor, and you're probably going, well, why are you talking about this? Well, this is making money. This helps you save your money, helps you not lose your retirement, helps you not lose all that you've worked so hard for. So hence the Making Money with Laura. I want to make sure that everybody understands that, having an umbrella policy, having the right coverage is super important. The more prestigious you become, the more likely you're going to need these kind of things. And getting them early on is probably better than waiting later on in life. So if you're thinking about selling a property and you just sometimes need advice on who to call and direct you in the right way, and it doesn't always have to be, I've had people call me and ask me if they should buy a boat. Believe it or not, I'm kind of like your advisor in a lot of different ways. Give me a call at 954-650-0827, or you can catch me at my web address at laurasell.com. And I want to thank you for always listening and watching our live streams every week. Thank you for watching. Laura Sanders with Making Money. And until next week, we'll see you then.